Well, welcome to the show. This is our view from the bench. Well, welcome to the show, and happy Friday. I'm Brendan, assistant water boy for the water polo team.
And I'm Corey, team manager for the badminton team. Yeah, man, happy Friday. How was your week?
Happy Friday. It was good. Can't complain too much. It was the last week. The only thing I can complain about is that it was the last week for swimming in the pool that I've been swimming in for the summer. So today was the last day. They're closing it down because school's starting, obviously, and it's the city pool that the university and Bonita High uses. So,
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's probably the only bad thing. Other than that, it was a fairly chill week. How about you?
Yeah, same. Just worked some day shifts. Nothing crazy. No concerts or events this week. So just been kind of chilling. Obviously, now we're all just worried about surviving this crazy storm this weekend.
Yeah, true. First time in California history, there's a tropical storm / possible hurricane warning. And yeah, I actually called my friend in Florida. He lives in Tampa, so he's obviously kind of used to it. I was like, hey, what is there that I need to know? And to make a long story short, he basically kind of said, first year he did everything. He did all the prepping that he thinks he could do. And it basically was a waste of stuff. And as he's gotten later, he's kind of dwindled it down. And now whenever there's something, he basically survives off 5 things. He gets water, bread, peanut butter, jelly, batteries, and alcohol. Okay, that was 6 things. I can't count.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, so that's all. I guess I'm just going to kind of get that. I mean, it's got to be even more chill for us than it is for him. So I'm assuming it should be fine. We should be fine. But yeah. So, Storm though over coming in New York. Storming in is Dalvin Cook.
Yeah,
finally signed.
Yeah, finally decided to sign after all this time. I feel like we've been waiting for this forever.
Yeah, I feel like it's been coming, and we've just been. I'm guessing it's just really like they were just trying to work out the contract details is the thing. So. There's actually a little bit of controversy around those contract details, believe it or not. I kind of read into it a little bit, and it's kind of weird. I've never seen a contract really written this way. Not one that let me just kind of put it this way. So per Mike Florio, the general idea is that it's a 1-year deal worth $7 million and about $1.6 million in incentives. Mike Florio said, though, that the contract actually ties just under $6 million of those dollars, 5.92, to him not being on the reserve or suspended list. He doesn't receive a signing bonus and has only a guaranteed base salary of $1.08 million. There's various incentives that he can get, like yardage, yards from scrimmage, being on the active roster, and then actually helping the team win the Super Bowl. That would put it all the way up to $8.62 million. But the reason why the money is tied to him not being on that reserve suspended list is because Mike Florio noted that there's a pending civil lawsuit against him that alleges domestic violence. There haven't been any criminal charges, and Cook has actually, in turn, countersued the woman who made the allegations and her lawyers, claiming defamation. He's also kind of trying to settle with her as well. So that's pretty intense. I didn't even know any of this was going on. Did you?
No, I was going to say, as you were telling me that, I was like, wait, what? But also now it makes more sense why it took so long, because obviously all the language they had to put into the contract for it to make sense and get as much as he could, but also cover themselves in case he is to get suspended for a game or two or whatever ends up happening. So I guess now I understand it more so, but again, this was one of those, I think we've been waiting for it to just kind of happen at some point. It's one of those when you see two people, they're going to get together and you're just kind of waiting out the time for it to happen. And hey, it finally happened.
Hey, and here we are. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. I think it was like we all kind of knew he was going there. Even when we reported that he visited, he stayed like multiple days and all that kind of stuff. So it was almost like it was going to happen regardless. So I guess it just finally did. Do you think he is happy with all of the? I mean, I guess he understands, right?
Yeah, you have to be. Obviously, he wanted to be there. If he, like you said, he stayed there for multiple days and hung out. If he didn't do that, he wouldn't have really wanted to be there. So to take his time and have his agent and then figure out these details so that, again, it covers him. So if he does make the team and nothing happens, he makes a lot of money. If something does happen, he gets suspended. It covers the team, and he still gets something, but not as much as he would otherwise. So in the long run, it's kind of a win-win situation. And it's all good from there. Another running back getting paid, not as much as they probably want, but still getting something. Which, speaking of running backs, we have another running back that we finally saw signed. Ezekiel Elliott is going to the Pats, which would have never guessed that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, good old Bill Belichick loves him the running game, doesn't he?
Yeah, true, but I don't know. Based on the photos I've seen, it doesn't look like Ezekiel Elliott showed up in the best shape so far in camp. It almost kind of looks like one of those Harden things back in the day when he was in Brooklyn and like all of a sudden he was not looking in shape. It was like he was in a fat suit and then he got traded and he looked good. Like I don't know if that's what's happening, but Ezekiel Elliott just I don't know if he just wasn't ready for camp and didn't expect to sign this early or what, but I didn't see what New England definitely saw in signing him.
Yeah, I think Bill Belichick is just trying to kind of stick to what he knows wins, which is his running game. He's a power runner, and you kind of say in the industry when you're building the team, even for especially skill positions like quarterback and running back, you try to get the backup to be similar, right, to the starter. And Ramondre Stevenson, I believe, is a downhill force runner, and that's kind of the way Zeke plays. So you're not necessarily. Sometimes it's good to have differences because you have the lightning and the thunder, but sometimes when you build an offense, especially one as simple as I feel like the Pats do with Mac Jones, it's I guess something to be had. So
Yeah,
maybe that's why.
Yeah, and I mean, Belichick's always been good with having these like veteran running backs come in there and do really well, but that also was with Tom Brady in a different kind of offensive scheme. And with I don't know who they ended up naming. Is it Bill O'Brien that's back as their offensive coordinator, right? So he
I'd have
knows
to
how.
check.
I'm pretty sure he came back there. So obviously, I think Mac Jones had him down in Alabama, so there's a connection there. So hopefully that'll help Mac play better this year too. To have a quarterback or a coordinator that knows like what his strengths and weaknesses are.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess adding Ezekiel doesn't hurt. I just at this point he hasn't been great the last couple of years in Dallas, so I don't really know if there's anything left in the tank and if New England maybe is just desperate at this point.
Yeah, well, they gave him 1 year, $6 million. I don't know if that shows desperation. That seems to be pretty kind of standard, I guess, pretty low. I mean, but it's actually quite layered. Okay, so not only was the Dalvin Cook something because it had that weird contingency on him, with the lawsuit and stuff, but Zeke's is actually $6 million. Yeah, it's very much. It's not that. Let me get into the nitty gritty here. Ready? Let me see if I can try to get it here.
Yeah, catch yourself together.
Elliott's 1 year deal, which originally was reported as a 1 year deal worth up to $6 million, actually includes a $600,000 signing bonus and a base salary of $1.55 million. Okay. It includes an $850,000 per game roster bonus. That's total if he were to play all of them, and up to $3 million in incentives. So he has to be on the active roster for all the games, and he'll get another $850,000. But here's where it gets kind of crazy. Gets $300,000 for hitting 975 yards from scrimmage, 1,100 yards, 1,225 yards, 1,350 yards, and 1,475 yards. Each one, he gets an extra $300,000. So if he hits each one, that'll be $1.5 million. He also gets another $300,000 for 50% of offensive snaps, 55, 60, 65, 70. So if he plays all the 70, he'll get another $1.5 million. And that's basically how he gets all the way to the $6 million.
Woo! Man, I don't even know how you got through all that.
Made it.
That's a lot of round and round and round to get to just tell me how much.
It's a lot of writing in this contract.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not an agent. I can tell you, especially in the NFL with the non-guaranteed deals, like these contracts get really, really complicated. So I'm glad I'm never going to have to deal with it. But thank you for telling me all those details, man. Yikes! I just learned more than.
So what's he hitting then? What do you think he's getting?
Well, let's see, 975 yards from scrimmage.
I can see that, right?
I can see that. 1,100 might be pushing, especially depending on their offense and how it goes, because they don't really have any wide receivers. So if it's going to be a lot of running, then I don't know if Zeke, especially if Zeke's not like the number one back necessarily. 1,100 might be hard, but 975 should be good, and I think he should be able to get that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm guessing he does stay under 1,000 yards. So the 975 is going to be close to him. But I don't really feel like he plays 50, 55, say all these snaps from the field. I just don't think he does that because, I mean, unless Ramondre Stevenson gets hurt, knock on wood, I don't want anybody to get hurt. That guy's a workhorse. He doesn't really need – now, Bill's going to do whatever he wants. He doesn't just listen to what Ramondre Stevenson might want. But I just feel like he's going to get half of them.
But also,
I don't know.
It could be that Belichick also plays each game and each team they go into every week as matchup to matchup based. So there could be games where
He
maybe
does, yeah. I feel like that.
Ezekiel's style of play is better suited against an opponent. So then he gets more running and attempts that game instead of the other guy. Like that's, I mean, that's how they've always been famous for, is they adapt their offense to their opponent more than they just run
True.
their offense and have their opponents try to figure out how to stop it.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I guess for Zeke, he's going to be hoping that he is the option or the main option for as many games as possible, because the money that he's getting is basically only tied to incentives. Half the contract is tied to incentives, and another million of it is just tied to him being on the roster. So,
Well,
do you
then you
ever
got,
think? I don't. Huh?
I was gonna say, then you got to think if you're Ezekiel Elliott, if it's all incentive based, this is going to hopefully be one of his best years. Because otherwise, if you can't do anything and you make no money, this is your last straw. This is it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, at least for big money, for sure, in the millions of. I mean, you might be able to sign like some minimum contracts if somebody needs a third stringer, or like you said, if people getting hurt. If a running back room is falling like 49ers quarterbacks, then he might be called upon. So
Good point.
that's kind of, to your point. That's might be one of the only instances where he's able to kind of get in. Yeah. Other than that, I think this is one of the last stops for sure.
Yeah, this has got to be it. And I mean, he had a good run in Dallas the first couple of years. That second contract that he got, and then just never was the same after that first year or so of it. And I don't know if obviously Dak not being great and them not being great as a team is all part of it, but usually the Cowboys have a good offensive line, so that can't be the main issue at that point, right?
Yeah, yeah, true. But like you said, Dak was just being mediocre. I won't say he's bad, but he's average, right? They just stack the box, especially when they know they're in a running either formation or point in the game where they're just kind of not, the pass isn't working. Just stack the box and stop the guy that. I mean, look at these highlights that you're seeing on the screen. He was good. It's not like
Yeah.
he's a bad player. He's just not what he once was. So
Yep.
it's just coming down to like a matter of that.
Unfortunately, it all comes to an end for some of them.
Yeah, yeah, true. Another end that happened actually this offseason was the end of Aaron Rodgers over in Green Bay. Another more Jets news, obviously. We discussed it a little bit. Did we discuss it before? I don't think we did, actually, huh?
I don't know if we did on here or not. I know we discussed it
Okay.
in general, but we might not have done it on the podcast.
I think we probably didn't because we thought it was probably going to go away kind of quickly, but it basically didn't. So, to catch everybody up, because most of you probably know, Sean Payton, the new head coach of the Denver Broncos, was talking about how he's going to handle the Broncos this season. And he also had some comments a while back about how they were handled last season. He just kind of says that not everything is Russell Wilson's fault. A lot of people obviously put pressure on him because he was the star quarterback in Seattle, and then he's coming over here. He's supposed to be the same thing, and he was absolutely awful last year. Probably the worst season of his career. In short, he basically says, but everybody's got a little stink on their hands. It's not just Russell. It was a poor offensive line. It might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. That's how bad it was. And that's where it really started.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird to even have a coach call out another coach like that. I don't really remember that ever happening before, but for him for especially Sean Payton, I feel like of all coaches, that's not somebody I would expect to do that, but he said what he said. I mean, and it was right there live during the not post game presser, but presser in general. And then Rodgers obviously defending his guy, Nathaniel Hackett, who's his
As
offensive
you
coordinator.
should get that.
Yeah, of course. The offensive coordinator in the Jets now. He was in Green Bay before. He was the coach last year in Denver when it went terrible. And part of the thing is, I think when they hired Nathaniel Hackett last year, I think they also thought they might get Aaron Rodgers in a trade. And if that was the case,
Yeah,
then that changes everything of how things go in Denver last year. But obviously, the Packers didn't want to trade Aaron at the time, so game plan went to Russell Wilson. But I don't think that was a good idea at all. And obviously,
yeah.
that's what the results showed.
I don't think Hackett would have been good even with Aaron Rodgers. I just don't know if not everybody's really cut out to be a head coach, or at least the pressure was really on that time. This one, he's obviously, the pressure's back off. He's back in the role where he excels as an offensive coordinator that has Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. So I don't see it going that bad this year. He gets to focus on just the one thing that he was. So to note, the Broncos went 5-12 last year. That's what he was kind of going with.
Yeah, again,
The story continues though. Aaron Rodgers, of course, defending Nathaniel Hackett. He helped him win 2 MVPs over in Green Bay. So obviously has his back. Fires back at Payton when asked about it by the press, saying, "I think it was way out of line, inappropriate, and I think he needs to keep my coach's name out of his mouth." Pulling a little bit of Will Smith right there. Aaron Rodgers, very witty guy. So, what do you make of all this? I guess.
It's just weird because it started out as like a coach's beef almost, but that since Hackett's not the head coach, he probably doesn't do any press conferences. So then Rodgers then has to, defend him in a sense and say something. And now we've got almost like a back and forth because they're going to play each other, I think, week 4 or 5. We looked it up. So it's only going to continue or get weirder. And like as they had the preseason, they didn't play each other in the preseason, but during a preseason game, the Jets had, who was it? It was like their young kid Garret Wilson during the game. Or
Yeah,
he's already out of the game as a rookie. He's already played, or young kid. He's already played a couple downs. So he's in like a bucket hat, sunglasses. He's doing a game interview like during the game on the sideline, just chilling, having a good time. Like it's preseason, man. What are we worried about? And again, Peyton for some reason decides to make up his rules for his players that moving forward when they're pulled out of a preseason game, you have to keep your uniform on. Can't wear sunglasses, you can't wear bucket hats, you can't do interviews during the game, which is literally everything Garret Wilson did. So by just doing those little subtle things, it's only going to add fuel to the fire.
Exactly. I'm just so we're on the same page. Garret Wilson learned about these rules for the Broncos starters during preseason games, and it was Garret Wilson who is actually reacting to it.
Okay, that
This
makes
is
it
kind
even
of
better.
like the troll job. Yeah. As we can see what we're showing here, he says starters shouldn't be wearing caps, sunglasses. They need to make sure that they're wearing their uniforms and they don't take any interviews during the game. Well, as you can see in the background, the game's still on. He's a starter. He's not wearing his jersey. He's got his hat and his sunglasses on, and it just gets even better. That's what the that's what the trolling's all about, right? So I can't wait for these two to play each other because they actually do this season. We get to watch it all unfold. Week 5, October 8th. It's actually in Denver.
Oh,
Who do you think wins that game?
man, I was really hoping it was going to be in New York. Well, it makes
That would
it
have been
funnier
nuts, right?
that those were the rules beforehand. I thought it was the other way around, but it's even funnier that it's Wilson reacting to those rules and doing everything opposite after they've already had their little kind of back and forth. So it's going to make it great. The fact that it's in Denver gives me a slight thought that Denver will win, but then again, I feel like this Jets team kind of feels like Brady's last year, well, first year I should say, in Tampa, when they just kind of brought all his friends over and somehow it worked. They had a good defense. The Jets have a good defense. Although the NFC South was much weaker than the AFC East is, but I still think it's kind of got that vibe where they're going to be in it come at least AFC playoffs, at least conference title game maybe. So I'm expecting the Jets to somehow go into Mile High and steal that game.
Yeah, I would love to see it because I kind of side with the Jets on this a little bit. I don't really have a dog in the fight, so I don't really care either way. But it just didn't need to be brought up, I guess, right?
Yeah.
He did go back. He is in Sean Payton. He did go back and say, he doesn't regret that he said it or like what he said. He's not taking it back per se, but he regrets that he said it. He felt like he was back in the studio and had his broadcaster cap on instead of his coaching cap on. So that was kind of his like little apology to kind of try to squash it. But I don't know. I think they made a big deal out of it. And I think it's fun that the Jets
I honestly kind of
kind of
forgot
playing with it.
I forgot Peyton took a year off and did like some TV stuff. That actually makes a lot more sense that he was more candid because before he would never talk about anything when his coaching career. But yeah, having a year off and being behind the camera all the time.
Where you're supposed to give your opinion,
yes,
not
exactly.
just
And
kind of keep it to
asked
yourself.
him, so he gave his opinion, but was just the wrong place at the wrong time more so than the wrong thing to say.
Exactly.
Or that the wrong thing that he was thinking.
Exactly. And I don't even care that is his opinion. I want people to have he should be able to have that opinion. I don't have that problem. But yeah, I guess it's just wrong. Wrong place, wrong time. Like
it's just a weird one because you had nothing to do with the games last year. You didn't coach anywhere. It's not like you played against Denver and beat them bad and knew like it was really bad here. Like I saw it when we played them. You had nothing to do with it. So again, it's kind of an apology, but not really. But it gets us away from the controversy of it all. So. Which moving on to another controversy, this is just getting weirder and weirder. I feel like every day, and it's going to only continue to do so. This Michael Oher controversy thing is just weird. Like it's all starting back when he says he was before senior year. They said they had him sign paperwork to adopt him, or so he believed. Instead, it put him in a conservatorship, so the family that took him in basically was in charge of making his decisions for him as far as financial stuff and signing all his contracts. But I don't know. The movie obviously was a big deal and won an Academy Award, or at least I believe Sandra Bullock did for it. So obviously the story, but this was a long time ago that the movie came out. So it's just kind of weird that all this controversy and all this information is coming out now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's not really playing anymore, so maybe I don't know how much he made in the league. Maybe he needs some cash, or maybe he just feels like he deserves it. It gets really messy, dude. I'll try to kind of sum it up a little bit about what he's alleging. Or basically alleges in the court filing that he made no money from the movie, and that the
Tuies, I think.
The Tuies, thank you. I couldn't remember the last name. The Tuies took home $225,000 for just being in the movie, or not them, but for their story.
Yeah.
And an additional 2.5% of whatever the net profits would be. Well, that turned out to be $300 million, so give him $7.5 million. And he's alleging that they basically kept him out of that. However, they allege that they didn't do anything wrong, that they have been splitting the checks or whatever they got with Michael. And he's actually just kind of demanding up more because he wants more money. He actually is asking for a larger settlement than what they've even made, at least according to the numbers that I read. He's asking for tens of millions of dollars from them. He says that they say that he's threatened to threaten them. He's refused to cash their checks that they have sent him as part of like the protest. And they also say that he's done this before, I guess a handful of times, but he's really has a hard time finding a lawyer to kind of keep pushing it through. I don't even know who to believe anymore. I mean, I just hope that the right thing is done because I don't know what is right.
Dude, that's part of the problem with these stories like this. Like you see, like the movie came out or the book came out. It's like a great heartfelt story. We all love it and feel, glad about it and happy about this family doing those things. But I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, maybe they were looking out for him because they were looking to make money off him. Like that was their whole get from the start. They were just looking to make money off of. But if you look back at them, they already had money from before. It's not like they were living in poverty and then he made money for them and they are now rich people. From what I've read and been able to find out, they had already had money of their own selling like franchises of like a restaurant or something. So there was no money, like that wasn't the main concern. And like we talked about, it said something about a conservatorship. If that was the case, then when he made the NFL, didn't they have to sign all his contracts in order for him to be able to legally sign them with the Ravens when he got drafted? Like that's
what I was going to say,
right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the legal parts of a conservatorship, but according to him, yeah, they would have to know about all the contracts and stuff because he basically can't do anything. Not his own. That sounds terrible, especially if race is involved, but his rights and stuff he's basically signed away.
Yeah, it's like the Britney Spears thing that we just went through, where her mom, her dad was in charge of everything money wise, and contracts for work was related. Like she wasn't able to make those decisions on her own for whatever.
Exactly, that's a great example.
Reason. Yeah. But that's the other thing too, is they talked about. I don't know if you remember them. Did you see the movie Blindside when it came out?
Yeah, of course, great movie.
I think I've seen it like once or twice. So they obviously portrayed him as like kind of a slow guy, like not a good, not quick at learning things and taking a long time to understand the concepts. But it turns out that's not really the case, which again, it was based on a true story. So it's not exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But like, if he wasn't as he was portrayed in that sense, then he would have been a little more smart, you think, or caught on to one of these things. And like you talked about, if they mentioned he's done this before and they've tried to give money and he hasn't cashed it, then maybe there's something else that went down between them as a family and him as an individual that we don't know about. And it's like something way worse. And once it goes into court, maybe we'll get to that point. But then you mentioned he's never been able to have a lawyer to keep pushing to get past that point. And maybe that's part of it. He doesn't have the money to afford to even go to court and continue to fight.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know like I said, I don't even know who to believe or what to really make of it. I'm looking forward not in like a excited sense, but to kind of seeing what the resolution is, because I'd love to hear what the truth is, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, it's going to get crazier and crazier the more that leaks out. So until we officially get an answer to all this, it's just going to be a lot of crazy facts coming out, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is a good offensive lineman. He obviously made it to the NFL, so I guess we will see. I know defensive lineman that's trying to make it into the NFL right now, CJ Okoye.
This story.
Great story, right? He obviously is in the news a lot lately because he was playing for the Chargers recently. They had a preseason game against the Rams, and he got the first sack of his career. Granted, preseason, but they got the first sack of his career when he was able to go ahead and get Stetson Bennett for the sack. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did actually, and it's just a cool story because obviously once we get into the details here, you look at it. He's originally from I think it's Nigeria, right? Like he's not from here. He's never played football before. He's never played organized football. He said this is his first real game, and not only that, like they talked about, and we'll play an interview here in a minute with Rich Eisen where he talks about he didn't even realize some of the rules of the game itself that he was playing as he's playing it in his first game ever. It was just an awesome thing to see, and to see the teammates after in the post game like just give him the game ball and everything and just be super excited for him is just awesome.
Nice, yeah. Well, we will show you the sack.
Yeah, we got to show the sack, which don't get geeked out like you did when we watched it earlier on the first tackle or his first attempt by the other guy.
Oh, there he is. Got him. First sack of his career. In fact, from what I read, he didn't even know it was a sack. He thought he just tackled him because he thought that a sack means he had to be inside of the tackle box.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, so it tells you how much he literally doesn't know about the sport as he's playing it.
Yeah, no, he literally just started playing. The first time he ever really even seen it, because he had seen a bunch of stuff like on, the internet or TV. He's seen American football, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Exactly. But the first time he actually started playing it was in January of 2023. Like this January.
I was just going to say, you said of 2023, like I was like, wait, yes. As like this year?
Yeah, the first time he played the game of American football was in January of this year, and he just got a sack in an NFL preseason game.
Wow. And I mean, let's be honest, the NFL has been trying to be better about inclusion and getting more people involved and more opportunities. So having this NFL International Player Pathway program that they have allowed him to even have an opportunity to like do like those workouts. I'm assuming back in January, they gave him an opportunity, and now he comes to camp. And even if he doesn't make the team, it's just an awesome story for him to go from basically not knowing what the sport is to playing in a game less than 9 months later and getting a sack, which again, it's preseason, but in general, that's just an amazing story.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. I know that I'm just happy that they were able to like even find the guy. You know what I mean? Like you said, the international program, it's cool that, technology is expanding, and just the idea that all of this stuff is, you're able to find these talents, they're taking the time to go and do it and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's cool that it's spreading like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more they do the international games where they play in Mexico, they play in London, they play in Germany, like they're going to, I'm assuming at some point, try to get every continent or country at some point to get NFL everywhere and get everybody to see it and be all about it, which will just help and continue to grow the international player program that they've already started and already seeing dividends come out of it at this point, as we see.
Yeah, I agree. I know you talked about having the interview, so let me see if I can bring that up so we can check it out.
How did you first come across American football, CJ?
Yeah, I've been watching some movies on YouTube about football. I wasn't interested. I didn't even know we have football because it's called American football, So, yeah, I thought you only do it when you're in America.
What was your first tryout for football like?
It wasn't that good because I didn't even know what I was doing. I started training as a football player in January.
Of this year, January of this year, 2023.
Yes.
On Saturday night in SoFi Stadium, your first organized football game of your life.
Yep, that's right. I didn't even know that we switch after every quarter, Like goalposts and stuff. I didn't even know that.
If you don't mind, explain to me from your point of view when you came up with the sack of Stetson Bennett.
I just wanted to do something,
Sure.
Believe me when I tell you, I didn't even know that was a sack. I didn't know. Like, I thought he was out of the pocket, so I thought that was a tackle or something. Then a teammate of mine just walked up to me and said, "Yo, you just got a sack." I was like, "What?" I just went crazy and I did my dance.
I saw the moment in the locker room, too, when you got the game ball. What was that like for you?
I've gotten, so many things in my life. I've never thought that I would ever get a game ball. I didn't even know, most people know my name, So I didn't want to cry. I won't lie, I didn't want to cry, but I really wanted to cry that moment was like dream come true. It was everything you ever hoped for in this life put to one.
Dang, that's so crazy, man. I think here we kind of basically said some of the stuff that he said, but hearing it straight from him, just kind of hearing the passion that's in his voice and how excited he is to just even to have this opportunity to be here, I think it's cool. You think he makes the cut, or?
No, he probably won't make the team, but I would think at this point, if he's done that much progress in that short amount of time, you're going to at least keep him on the practice squad and kind of see how things go. And then, since it's a defensive lineman, injuries happen throughout the season. Maybe he gets called up for a game and has a couple plays or plays a couple snaps at least, and then they see what he's got. And then if he's not, producing, then you can always just put him back on the practice squad. That's like kind of like the G League thing in the NFL. You have that opportunity to kind of pull him up and down. So maybe we'll get to see him at some point later in the year because of injuries, but I would think at least to start, he's going to be on the practice squad.
Well, hopefully the Chargers keep him. That'd be cool. He's local here, obviously. That means we'd get to kind of see him a little bit more often and that kind of stuff. So that'd be great if he kind of stayed around here. I hope he makes the team, at least in some way, shape, or form. Like you said, I never wish injuries upon anybody, but if that's what kind of gets him the thing, then hopefully the person heals quickly, but kind of showcases his talent and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I'm
excited for football season, man.
Yeah, so I'm hoping like by week 8 or 9 in the schedule, you might see him just because, like I said, injuries and things happen, or they might just give him an opportunity just because.
Yeah, that's very true. Love to see him. Excited for football season. Excited. This is the best time of year, man. Getting out of summer and getting into all sorts of things.
October's the best time of year. We get all the sports going, which now we have the NBA schedule as well. Now that it's finally been released. We finally get this instead of just them sprinkling in like opening night and Christmas and everything. We actually get the full schedule. So again, it's all back to normal here. We got the NBA Cup schedule mixed into it, which we'll discuss in a second. Like I talked about, opening night, the Nuggets get to hoist their banner for the first time, and they're going to do it against the Lakers. So I kind of like them having us start there, and I think it's a good for the league to have that rivalry in a sense kind of continue from last year at the end.
Western Conference Finals.
Yeah. Mike Malone talking a lot of smack in the offseason about winning and how they were like the Lakers' daddy, I think is what he talked about. So having
annoying.
Yeah. So I think seeing that and that matchup, and again having them raise the banner for the first time might hopefully be some motivation for the Lakers. And banner nights are always weird. I feel like the teams that host the banner up that night don't always win. So hopefully that's a good sign for the Lakers.
Yeah. You've seen that picture I showed you when we were talking about this, that picture of LeBron watching the Warriors get their ring after at the beginning of this season, basically.
Yeah, you talked about it.
Cold,
I didn't know what you were talking about. And he was just like frozen, just like, ugh. So
yeah, he's sitting there just like, that's supposed to be mine.
Right.
So, I like the fire, man. I like the fire. Well, up on the screen, we do have, I know you talked about opening night, but we do talk about Christmas. That's like one of the big days where it's just a sit around and watch basketball kind of day. At least it is most of the time for me. I know we'll bring it up in a little bit. Lately, because Christmas has been falling on Sundays and Mondays and stuff, there's been the NFL, but most of the time Christmas is basketball day. So day opens up with the Bucks at the Knicks, followed by the Warriors and the Nuggets. Lakers host the Celtics. I hate saying that word, but I'm trying to be nice. Sixers are in Miami, and the Mavericks are in Phoenix. That Luka Booker matchup to close the night.
I always love that.
It's the first time that we've played the Sixers. I believe there was a stat I heard the other day is the Celtics on Christmas Day in like 17 years or something like that. So it's been a long time since they put this on Christmas Day. So it should be one to watch.
That's crazy. I feel like there would have been one with KG in them at some point, but I guess that didn't happen.
Not a quarter. Or are we that old and it's been almost? No, it's only been 13 years since.
Yeah,
that time.
Like,
Hey, dude, sometimes time flies, man. The older I get, it just keeps going. So.
You know what? Yeah, I agree. But the best part about the Christmas Day schedule for the NBA now that they have 5, because remember back in the day it was like 3 games or 2 games at all, and then they went to 4 and 5. I mean, it's 12 o'clock the first game, but that's Eastern. So for us, we wake up at 9 o'clock on Christmas Day, and there's already basketball going.
Basketball. That's the best part. West Coast is the best coast.
Yes, absolutely. And they start at 9 a.m. and they're going to go until what? At least what? The last game starts at
7:30.
So 9:30, 10 o'clock. We're just going to have basketball on all day, back to back. I love it.
Yeah, same. Like I mentioned earlier, in between all these basketball games, we have a couple NFL football games at 10 o'clock in the morning. So, they're very competitive. They don't really care. They're going to play whenever they want to play. And the NFL is going to pull the numbers. So Raiders at Chiefs, of course, nice rivalry game, 10 o'clock in the morning, Christmas Day, none like it. Another rivalry game, we got the Giants at the Eagles at 1:30. And then the nightcap at 5:15 game is the Ravens at Niners.
Ooh,
I know
man.
he's not there anymore, but that's used to be a rivalry when the brothers were coaches. So
Yeah.
they're stuck with.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. That's just basketball and football all day on a Monday, and just like you said, it's Christmas Day, so we're gonna be eating leftovers probably from the night before and just chilling on the couch. Oh, it's gonna be so nice. Oh, you know what? I just realized though, I'm not gonna be in California for Christmas this year.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're gonna be in Ohio. Oh, so you don't even get to enjoy these. You gotta wait.
I'm excited for the 9 a.m. start time, and I don't even get to enjoy it myself. I have to wait till the 12 o'clock. Oh,
that's hilarious.
Man, that is some sad news right now for myself.
Oh well, you'll live.
Oh man, it's okay. Anyway, so now that we're back to the NBA schedule and going on to it, obviously there's a bunch of national games. That's always the biggest talk is who has the most. Warriors the most with 41, Lakers with 40, Celtics 34, and then the Nuggets and Knicks round out the top couple teams. Nuggets with 30, Knicks with 25. I'm actually kind of surprised the Nuggets didn't get more as a defending champions.
Because nobody wants to watch the Nuggets, dude. Just because they won doesn't mean anybody cared. Do you know what I mean? Like, honestly, I truly feel as soon as the conference finals were over, as soon as the Celtics and the Lakers were out, basketball was over last year. I mean, I honestly didn't watch. I saw highlights. I saw that Miami was trying to stay in it, but they just got overwhelmed. So, but like I said, just because they're the champs doesn't mean anybody cared. So I get it. Everybody wants to watch Steph Curry. Everybody wants to watch how that's going to work out with Chris Paul. Yeah, everyone wants to watch LeBron James and the Lakers, right? I mean, I get it. Celtics are next as well. Second biggest franchise, of course, behind us. I'll claim it. Sorry, Loff. But yeah, so I guess we'll see how that kind of plays out. But I love it because I don't have whatever the Lakers super fun channel is. Yeah, Spectrum Sportsnet. Thank you. I couldn't remember. I don't have it. So the more nationally, again, still even it cuts out there, but the more nationally televised games, the better for me. So
yeah, I get to watch it. So I'll take it. So I'm with you there. Want to have as many games on national TV as possible. And to be honest with you, a lot of the time what happens is because they share the arena with the Kings and the Clippers, the Ducks usually end up having the same home night games the Lakers do because the Kings have to play the same opponent in that day or two after or before. So like usually on Wednesday, Friday, if the Ducks are playing and they're at home and the Kings are also at home that weekend, that means the Lakers are probably playing Wednesday, Friday. So I'm not even home to watch it regardless. So, I'm lucky to see a game when I can at that point. But I always like to look at these or when they talk about the different features of the schedule of like the most back-to-backs and 3 games in 4 days and all that kind of stuff. So the one that came out to me, which I think this is the interesting one for sure, is the Clippers have the most 3 games in 4 days with 25. And they're the most like
brittle.
Yeah, that's the nice way to put it. Although I know Tyronn Lue talked about they're gonna have to take the regular season more seriously for Kawhi and Paul George. But if you're gonna be doing load management, and you have 3 games in 4 days, 25 times. One, it's gonna be hard within those times when it happens, but that also means you're gonna have bigger gaps of breaks somewhere else that you can make up for that time, right?
I guess they just want all the time off, bro. They just tell me when the playoffs are, and then I'll try to play at least one series. That's basically the MO. I don't know, dude. They just need to. If they don't win, which I'm praying they don't this year, I really was hoping they would get James Harden because that would basically be a nail in the coffin for them.
It's not over yet. The trade deadline is all the way in March. So KD last year wanted the trade to Phoenix right away, and then they didn't do it till later. So it could be the same situation.
Yeah, I guess so. But but I'm hoping that they just figure it out and just break it up. I don't know who you want to keep. Keep whoever you think is better, but just pick one. And then just let the other person just go walk. I think the easier one, if they want to. Wait, you say no?
Nah, let it explode, man. Let it all blow up. Because this is their last year at crypto.
I'm not saying that's what I want as a Laker fan. I'm just saying, like, if I'm trying to advocate for the franchise, just get rid of one because it's not working, bro.
Yeah, no, I agreed on that. If you're trying to fix the situation, you have to pick one or the other because
that's what I'm saying.
Because if you trade one, even if you get something for them, it's not going to be what they are. But the other thing is maybe those guys will actually play and you'll have more depth and be able to actually win games in the regular season. Rest management is one thing when it's one guy on a team, but when you're doing it 2 or 3 or 4 guys deep,
and they're all your best players.
Yeah, and you don't and your depth is good in the regular season, but if you end up in the 6 or 7 seed, then why not have them play an extra 5 or 10 games apiece and maybe be the 4 or 5 seed? Because last year with its standings, I think from 4 to 7 or 4 to 8 or 9 was like all a jumble. So playing an extra 8 to 10 games can make a huge difference in the standings.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, 4 was the spot where the Suns were. They had a little cushion, but yeah, 5 through like 13 on the West was like 2 games apart,
Yeah,
3 games
exactly.
apart, almost the whole season. It was nuts. So, moving on to different piece of the schedule, we got the Lakers, best team in LA.
Yeah, yeah.
They have 15 back-to-back games, so that means Anthony Davis is missing at least 15 games, right?
I mean, if we're going with the way things went last year, that's the case. So that means we're down
If
to
it means he,
7. And then let's be honest, there's probably going to be like, I would think anywhere from 5 to 10 games where he is sore or just needs the extra time to rest, or they had a 3-game and 4-day stretch. So maybe he took the second game of a back to back, but also took the next game 2 days later off. So maybe he ends up only playing like 60 games, which is fine. That's enough.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that the 15 back to back right off the top, you're like, well, then that's 15 games he's not playing, right?
I mean, it's got to be. Which, to be honest with you, if we get the AD that showed up in the playoffs, that's fine with me. I don't really care.
I'll take 60 to 65 games of that guy.
Exactly. I want that dude. That's no problem. I want yeah. If that means that, like I said, if that's what it means is that he needs to sit the back-to-backs, let's do it.
Do what you got to do.
So Bleacher Report I'm not the guy that's going to sit through 82 games and try to figure out, okay, do they win this one? Do they win that one? Do they win this one? Or do they?
A little harder with the NBA schedule compared to NFL, huh?
Yeah, NFL, I can sit there for 17 and try to figure something out, but I'm not going to sit here for 82. So went to Bleacher Report and kind of saw what their predictions are. They basically, throw it up on the screen. This is basically the top 5. I'm not going to give you the whole list, but I'm going to give you the top 5 from each conference and the record that they are kind of assuming. And I'll explain the order for the ties in a second. They're giving it to I was about to say rating Eastern Conference champs, but I forgot they lost to the Heat. So giving it to the people who have basically been there for a while. Celtics, they're putting them at 52 and 30. Got the Heat and the Bucks tied at 50 and 32. I gave the edge to the Heat because, well, they beat the Bucks last year. And then they have the Knicks and the Cavs coming in at 48 and 34. Same idea. Gave the Knicks the edge because they beat the Cavs in the head-to-head last year. So you disagree with this, Con? This seems pretty legit to me, top 5.
Well, I think part of my issue with it is the Miami one, and that's only because last year they were, a 7 or 8 and had to do the play-in games just to get into the playoffs. So if they haven't done the Dame Lillard trade and they're basically the same team, if not worse, because they lost Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, how are they ranked up to get to 50 wins? Like, if they have
because Bleacher Report knows they're getting Damian Lillard.
If Lillard's on the roster, then I can understand the 50 and 32 prediction. But if Lillard is not going to be there, then that prediction, they should be definitely below the Cavs. I feel like this is the same. This is 4 of the same top 5 from last year. We're just missing Philly, and we swapped it out for Miami. But Miami's not better than last year without Damian Lillard on that roster at the moment.
No, I agree. They are not better, but like I said, they're basically predicting that he's going to be there. So
well, if that's the case, then I would even think that maybe they could be better than Boston, because Boston is going to be good, but I feel like
they're a good regular season team.
Again, yes, but Kristaps Porzingis has never been one to be healthy a lot either, so that's going to be interesting to see how healthy he is.
Neither is Malcolm Brogdon anymore.
Yeah, no Marcus Smart to anchor their defense on. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play. Jaylen Brown's got the new contract. Hopefully that doesn't change the way he goes about his business, because we know that happens a lot in sports. So, I mean, if Miami gets Lillard, I wouldn't be shocked if they're battling Milwaukee for the top seed.
True. It's funny that you mentioned Jaylen Brown. Remember that thing I sent you the other day? NBA 2K24 rankings. Yeah. He's overall 89. And he is the highest paid player in the NBA.
That's so sad. I wonder. I'm sure there's a stat to find it. I wonder how many guys are ranked above him in the NBA 2K that are getting paid less than him.
Well, everybody.
Well, that's true. I guess it would be
everybody in the league.
Does the extension kick in this year, or does it kick in next year? Because technically, it
yeah, I think it's next year. So yeah, maybe technically not this year.
So I'm not that dumb.
Yeah, sure. I guess not. So I can see. But moving on to the West,
which is the best.
Here is, and I'll give you the reason for another certain thing that I did here. So, giving it back to the Nuggets, they're saying that 52 and 30. They kind of have similar records. They kind of obviously
the same numbers. Did I just trip out and look at dude?
No, Bleacher Report doesn't. I guess to my point, they don't want to put too much thought into it either. They're kind of just giving a law of averages. I'm guessing is what they're doing here. So, having the Nuggets at top, Warriors and Suns are tied, giving the edge to the Warriors because they're just more championship team. They've been there, Suns are next Lakers and the Grizz have the same record. Actually, they also include the Mavericks having the same record, but I left the Mavericks off because they didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And I put the Lakers up top because we beat the Grizzlies last year. So, what do you think of this top 5? According to Bleacher Report.
I mean, I like it. I feel like Phoenix might be better than Denver. I feel like Denver losing Brown and Jeff Green is going to be more of a loss than people think because they didn't really replace them. Although Braun or whatever the guy they had from Kansas, the rookie last year, played really well. So maybe he takes that guy's spot in the rotation and it's not a miss. But I still feel like it's so hard to defend a title in the NBA. There hasn't been a back-to-back champion, I think, since the Lakers back in, well, I guess technically been Miami in 11 and 12. Or 12 and 13. So
no,
I don't think they're
the Warriors.
Oh yeah, duh. What am I thinking about? I just totally spaced on
KD.
a 5-year.
they're on my screen. I was like, oh wait, didn't they win?
So, but since then, unless you were the really good Warriors with the best team ever, winning back to back just doesn't happen these days. So it's not that I don't expect Denver to be good, but I expect them to take a step back and be maybe like the 3 or 4 seed. I really expect Phoenix to be good, and if not, be the top seed. The Lakers hopefully be right there with them. And then Golden State, I'm just confused because I like the Chris Paul trade, but I just wonder if they're going to have enough to last the whole season and make it to the top of the seeds like that and be a 2 or a 1. I feel like they're going to be like a 4 or 5.
Are they now like the shortest team in the league or what?
Yeah, they probably are because they only have like Kevon Looney. Although, don't be shocked if at some point somehow JaVale McGee ends up back there because I believe, is still a free agent and he knows that system well. So he would be able to be great in spurts like he always is.
Yeah, true.
So we'll have to see as the rest of the way. But I don't know. The Warriors thing with Chris Paul especially is really interesting to me. I don't know. Does he start and then you stagger the rest of the way? Does he close out? Is he like the leader of the second unit because Jordan Poole's no longer there and that was essentially his job? But does Chris Paul accept that? It's really interesting to see how that's all gonna like fall itself out.
If you're asking me what I would do, I'm putting Chris Paul on the bench, man. Then we have literally one of Steph, great floor general, secondary unit, Chris Paul, great floor. I mean, that seems like a win-win. Honestly, if not, what's their starting lineup? Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green,
and Kevon Looney.
It's like with the shortest. I mean, I get that. I mean, geez, though they have 1 through 3 is about 6'2".
Yeah, and Klay is still good, but ever since the injuries, he's not going to be getting older. He's not the same defensively, so that means your best defensive player is still Draymond and Looney, obviously behind him, but the other 3 guys are not going to be great defensively one-on-one. Steph's been better the last couple of years as far as like trying and at least making things more, at least a little harder for his opponents than it had before. But I don't know. I just feel like that's a small team. So I'm with you. I would put Chris Paul as the second unit and just let him run that thing because he's going to set everybody up because Steph can already do that on his own. And Chris Paul is an okay setup 3-point shooter, but I wouldn't think as good as obviously Klay would be.
You mean like sitting in the corner, like spot up, just wait for the ball? Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think he's doing that one either. I think it'd be best if he was utilized more as the point guard that he really is. So
yeah, absolutely.
The point guard though is kind of a weird position right now. I know that there's some news from one of the more popular point guards and someone whose team is not on the top 5, as you noticed. James Harden and the Sixers.
Oh my gosh.
He said, what?
Dude.
In China?
Dude, I cannot believe the fact that he said it was bad, but the fact that he did exactly what he did and said it a second time, go ahead and show that because that was ridiculous.
This is nuts.
Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of.
Dude, the craziest part not only is that he said it twice, but he said, let me say it again and let you know what I'm thinking.
For the people in the back.
Yeah, and then also because he's in China, it almost feels like the first time he said it, it took everyone a second to like translate because when he started to say it the second time, there was a lot more background noise of like, whoa, what? Like it almost like it took a second for people to register. He actually said that out loud at an event, like not like with his buddies with a camera, like somebody accidentally recorded like John Morant status.
Right.
Physically on purpose stood there, said, let me repeat it to let you know what I'm thinking, and said it again. Wow.
I guess this is just like his way of forcing his way out. I mean, Daryl Morey said, "You know what? We're not going to trade you anymore. We decided that we couldn't find what we wanted, and you're going to go ahead and play." And he's basically one up and saying, "No, I'm not."
He's not doing that. He's not going with that plan.
Yeah, he says right here that he's a liar, right? And doesn't trust him and all this kind of stuff. It all started basically from what I read from an ESPN article that he was maybe promised in the deal, bringing him over, that eventually he would be signed to max extension. And, you know, as much as we're showing highlights, there are lowlights as well to James Harden, more specifically in the playoffs. So he is obviously not being offered that same max contract for obvious reasons. And I guess this is his way of kind of lashing out. There was a rumor, though.
Oh, this is good. I love it.
I don't know how true this is, but there was a rumor that one of the things that James Harden was upset about was going into the season, he had asked to make sure that they have pizza on Fridays and that it started good. And then basically throughout the season, it just dwindled away. You think he's actually pissed off about Pizza Fridays, or is it the contract? Probably.
God, I hope it's the contract, but if the pizza thing is true, that's hilarious. That's such a James Harden thing. Like, he wants this after school lunch party every Friday after practice before. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we talking about here? And now, as far as you're talking about, is there was an agreement maybe to a MAC extension. We got traded over there, but he had to wait until it was time. That could have happened, but there's no signing of it, or there's no like audio recording of a verbal agreement. So if it was something that was discussed in the room with all of them and it just never went beyond that, I mean, I'm sure this actually, I think similar thing kind of was Chris Paul when he got traded from the Clippers to the Rockets. There was one of those like, we're going to sign you to an extension when it comes time, but then they ended up trading him to OKC and not doing that at all. So just because they were behind closed doors agreed upon maybe of an extension doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to happen when it comes time to put pen to paper.
Exactly, especially if you don't earn it, dude. Let me read off what he did in the playoffs last year. I'm just going to leave it up to the Boston series because that's obviously the most important part. Again, he won them game 1, okay? Went off for 45 points and finished at +8, okay? But he followed up game 1 with a game 2 of 12 points and a -21.
Oh,
Okay? So, it doesn't get better. Game 3 has a whopping 16 points for a -12. The only other game that he scored well in was game 4 with 42. Still ended up being a -6. And then he decided to nicely close out game 7 by putting up a historic 9 points with a -30 line.
Oh, that last game was so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this goes back to his career in the playoffs. So everyone's talked about it. You look at the past, the Houston years when they played Golden State, they had the opportunity. They missed like, what was it, 27 threes in a row, I think, in that game 7 as a team in Houston. And then that was the year that Chris Paul, pulled his hammy. So that was part of it too. But in OKC, they couldn't get it done against the Heat in the finals. He is in Philly last year and literally disappears essentially in game 7 based on those numbers.
9, bro.
Yeah.
I only need 2 hands. I still have an extra
7.
finger.
It's game 7. Where are you at? You are our main
max player, I thought.
Carrying us.
Max player, bro. He's worth max player, right?
I just
no.
That's why as a Laker fan, I kind of hope he ends up in the Clippers just because it would be crazy to see them all together.
Yeah. Okay. So what does Harden do from here then?
Well, when it comes time to training camp and stuff, he's going to have to report. He has no choice. Otherwise, like we looked up before, if he doesn't come because he's in the last year of his deal that he opted into and he ends up getting fined and losing all that money, doesn't he also lose the ability to go into free agency next year? So then
yes,
you're really screwing yourself not only in the short term, but in the long term.
So he's done? This is what I'm saying. I say he's staying in China. Why not? You know what I mean? Like he'll make money there. What other team? There's already teams that weren't willing to give up a ton to trade for him.
Yeah.
So what team is willing to try to figure out what Phillies, because I don't know exactly what, this is part of the new CBA, so I don't know exactly what limitations Philly can put on his free agency, but who would want to have to deal with that just trying to get him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially the easier thing would be try to trade him, but also that same team that might want him isn't willing to,
give
at
them
least
what
give
they want.
an appropriate number of people in Daryl Morey's eyes,
Yeah.
or whatever picks or whatever to get him. So
But-
I don't know. What did the Sixers do though?
Well, the Sixers are going to do exactly what they're doing. They're going to wait James out because they can. It's ultimately it's going to be
And they should.
it's going to be the same situation they were with Ben Simmons a couple years ago when he didn't want to report and he said he was injured and didn't want to show up, so he didn't. They fined him for not showing up, and eventually they traded him when they got the deal they wanted, which actually was for Harden, kind of funnily. But if you think about it, like Harden's not going to get what he wants until Daryl Morey gets what he wants. So if ultimately James wants to go to the Clippers, then Morey's going to wait it out, and maybe he does. Okay, if you're Harden, you have to at least show up and report to camp and have a discussion with the team, right? You can't not show up and start getting fined to lose all that money.
He said,
like we talked about.
He said the relationship is done.
Agreed. He doesn't have to. That's what I'm saying. He's not going to play a game for them in this scenario. My scenario is go meet with them,
Okay,
and basically say, look, I'm not going to play another minute with you guys and I want to be traded. And until that happens, I'm not going to be here, but I want to get paid. So they're going to do kind of like what I think Oklahoma City did with Danny Green a couple years ago, or Memphis, where he was on the team from start of the season until the trade deadline, and then they traded him somewhere else, or Andre Iguodala when he was in Memphis and eventually got traded to Miami.
Gotcha.
Like, you could basically pay him to go away.
So like John Wall then, right?
Yeah, same situation.
In Houston. Yeah.
Go away, sit down, we'll pay you, and then once we find the deal that we want, we will trade you. And then at that point, whether it's with the Clippers or not, James is going to have to play because I don't think that team's going to trade for him and agree to the same situation.
Yeah, then guarantee a max contract or something like that.
Yeah,
if I'm the Sixers, wait it out. You have all the leverage, especially with the new CBA rule that not only makes it to where he has to report in 30 days, but you can hinder or somehow inhibit his free agency freeness in this next offseason. So I just let him miss the whole season. I don't know what Daryl Morey lied about. I don't know if it's just the contract or if it's the pizza and the contract or if it was just the pizza. I think the pizza is pretty important to James Harden. But I'm just saying, fuck it. Wait it out, dude. Wait it out. Keep the money. Let him miss the whole season. And I say his free agency is hindered. His only option might be China. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, I know Dwight Howard, who's playing in Taiwan, has already reached out and tried on Instagram to tell James to stay, and it's just a short flight from there to Taiwan. So maybe he'll just end up there playing with Dwight, and then they can just make a boatload of money and score a bunch of points and win games that ultimately don't matter. Yeah, when it comes to real competition.
So I know this is a random question tying back to the last episode or 2 episodes ago where we talk about the NBA and the Hall of Fame. Since it's a basketball Hall of Fame, now maybe he gets in already because of what he's done in the NBA, but do we include James Harden's China stats for for Hall of Fame consideration? If he's dropping 100 points a game, do we like, wow, this guy's the best player ever, you know?
I think you're right that he's already going to probably be in regardless, so that's not going to be a problem. But yeah, I mean, it's just basketball Hall of Fame. It's not NBA Hall of Fame, so you include international play, right? And the Olympics, anywhere else. Maybe Starbury should be in the basketball Hall of Fame for all the stuff he did in China.
Yeah, maybe. I guess if that's what it needs to be, that's what it needs to be.
Yeah, you never know. Going to a different country and just dominating like that makes you almost like a king over there sometimes. So you have to include that in that, I guess, looking at their career as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. Other people dominating recently. Team USA, USA,
Dude,
USA.
Not only dominating, doing work in these like preseason games, essentially for some of these NBA players. This is awesome,
dude. So much work,
hard work. Dude.
Anyways,
they beat Puerto Rico. That was our little dance party that we had to have.
Sorry about that.
Puerto Rico by 43. I mean, 117-74. You know, and it's weird too because I keep seeing more highlights of Anthony Johnson like doing like good defensive plays, which is not normally his thing. So the fact that he's scoring and doing great, and now he's actually playing some defense, I think in the long run, Minnesota is going to end up getting some benefits out of this.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Anthony Johnson. Anthony Edwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Cam Johnson though is also doing work. In that first game, they both put up 15, and dude. Anthony Edwards looks like a beast, man. He's been tearing it up. So, to your point, Minnesota's looking like they're. I mean, we all knew he had some talent, so it's not like it was that far-fetched for him to be this good, but they do look good. They do look good. After they beat Puerto Rico, they played Slovenia. Now they did play Slovenia without Luka.
Well,
so,
yeah, he had to dodge Austin Reeves, right? He didn't want to play against him. I don't blame him.
Hey, bro, come on, dude. Of course, dude. He's gonna get freaking owned, man. Austin, baby. AR 15. Let's go. He's not right now. If he's not 15, or is he 15 in the Olympics? Did he keep it?
Don't know.
I don't remember. But they won by 30, 92-62, and Anthony also led again with 15 points. So they're just rolling. They rolled on. They beat Spain, actually number 1 team in the world, ranked by FIBA. Yeah, they won by 10, 98-88. So Jalen Brunson didn't work though. Dropped 29 on him.
Dude, Brunson has been on a tear since that last playoff run with Dallas and then going into his New York year last year. I feel like he's finally found his game and has just taken over. And for a guy who's that small, obviously you don't know how long it's going to last, but to be now dominating Olympics, and a lot of these guys that play in the Olympics like this always tend to have a good season going into the NBA following it. So I'm expecting Brunson and the Knicks to have another good year based on how he's playing already in this tournament.
So his Bleacher Report got him 4th in the standings at the end of the season. So, yeah, and they go on to win this game that we're watching here, the Greece game, by I think 22. So they're 4-0 in the pre-World FIBA World Cup games. This one was played in Abu Dhabi. They have one more against Germany in Abu Dhabi, and then they move on to the actual World Cup. I think we got it.
Oh yeah, they're gonna win. I mean, I know everyone going into this tournament before, like all these pre ones, was thinking like USA doesn't have any big name players and not very good, but also at the same time they have guys who play basketball as a team, and at the end of the day, that's usually how you're going to win these games, especially when it comes to like the FIBA actual like tournament or whatever. So I don't see any issues if they can keep playing like this, especially if they're playing defense as a team as they are. And with Steve Kerr there coaching, I don't anticipate that to be a problem.
No, they're swarming, dude. They're everywhere. Active hands. They're fast. In the game against Puerto Rico, they had 10 blocks and 10 steals. In the game against Slovenia, they had 13 steals and 5 blocks and held them the entire game to only 37% shooting. In Spain, in the game against Spain, they held them to 42% shooting, and they themselves shot 66%. Could not be stopped, dude.
Whoa.
Could not be stopped. So they are literally rolling into this tournament. I hope they make it. I believe we do. Unless something terrible were to happen. Knock on wood. Not even going to mention anything. I don't know what would be terrible, but unless something terrible would be happen, I'm thinking we had this one.
Yeah, so I don't see any issue. Like you said, the defense, if that's the defense they're playing, then they're just going to dominate this tournament because that's what it all comes down to. And it's weird because a lot of these other countries, their teams play together for multiple months or during the year as like just a normal thing. But the USA players get thrown together for a couple weeks for a training camp after their season's over, and then they go to play. So the fact that they're playing defense that well already means it's going to only get better the more games they play together. So again, Anthony Edwards playing defense is only going to help Minnesota. Means Austin Reeves is going to have a better year with the Lakers as well. So
let's get it. I'm so in, man. I'm so in. So they start the World Cup play against New Zealand, Greece, and Jordan. Those are their first 3 games. I'm guessing that's the pool play probably. They're playing in Manila. So,
well, I don't think Antetokounmpo is playing for Greece, right? Because isn't he not healthy enough to get through that before the season?
Yeah, he's right here, number 43.
Oh, is he really playing? Oh, I heard he wasn't going to play for Greece.
Yeah, Thanasis Antetokounmpo is playing. Isn't that who you're talking about?
No, that's not.
Oh, you mean Giannis, the MVP world champion guy. Oh, yeah, no, he's not playing.
2 brothers playing instead of just the one?
I think it's only him. I think it's the gentleman.
And got me. I could have swore I heard that he wasn't playing.
No, I knew as soon as you said it, but I was watching this game last night, and when I had to do a double take when they said Antetokounmpo, I said, "Wait a minute, but it was just the other Antetokounmpo.
Is that the one?
5 brothers, bro. No, because the one that was for the Lakers is a younger one. The one that's playing is Giannis's older brother.
Oh, that's the one who's on the Bucks with him then.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So FanDuel has the United States as heavy favorites. When I looked last night, they were at a minus 130. So betting 130. Huh?
Surprised it's not higher.
Yeah, betting $130 nets you $100. So you got to kind of bet over. The next closest team, there's 3 tied at plus 950. So a $100 bet wins you $950. Is France, Canada, and Australia. To note, world number 1 ranked Spain is at a plus 1,600. I think they're 6th favorites in the cup. So, I mean, the numbers show we've got it pretty much in the bag. So
Yeah,
just go play the games and make the shots and play the defense and
that sounds like a good plan.
come on
Man.
with gold.
Take care of business and get the gold and move on to the NBA season and get those guys healthy through that. Because I know when Kuzma did this the last time that he came out of it with a foot injury and then kind of screwed up the season to start. So hopefully they just all get through it and win, get out healthy, and get into the
All
NBA
of them
season.
healthy.
Yeah,
Yep.
everybody, not just Austin Reeves, everybody on the team.
No. I want everybody healthy.
For them to win that cup or win that medal and get the gold out of that title out of that tournament, and then head back home. Which then we got another World Cup for the women we talked about. Did not go very well. Obviously, they got knocked out in the first stage of elimination. But now there's the coach is no longer there. They decided. I should say he decided to resign. I don't know if that's actually what happened or it's one of those like, hey, you resign or we fire you. But Vlatko Andonovitsky resigned on Wednesday after they decided, it wasn't a good tournament showing and we need to get a better direction under control.
Yeah. I think it was mutual in the sense that he did resign, but USA Soccer made sure to note that it was a mutual parting of ways. So if he didn't resign, they were probably going to fire him anyways.
See,
so
that's exactly my thought.
Exactly. He managed the team for 4 years. He oversaw not arguably, it is the worst performance in U.S. Women's World Cup history. We didn't even make, like I said, every single time we've gotten a bronze or better.
Yeah.
This one, we didn't even make it to one of the places to be on the podium. He also was the coach when we came in 3rd place in the Tokyo Olympics, even though we were favored to win that one too. So maybe it's just time to kind of move on. I don't know if it's him or the team or a combination of all of it, but they really need to look and they look soon.
Well, like they say, when things don't work, you can't fire the whole team or get rid of the whole team. It's easier to get rid of the coach or the manager and kind of get a new voice at the top. So I think that's a big part of it. And I don't know, for me, I don't know what the normal amount of time for a international head coach like that for a women's or men's team, but I feel like 4 years is not very long. That's basically only one tournament to have coached them in instead of multiple. So I think I don't know what the normal is, but it seems kind of short for me.
Yeah, I agree. I know they play a lot during those 4 years. It's not like they're just practice for 4 years. Obviously,
no,
there's
true. But again,
I
feel like
but the big tournaments.
Yeah, give them an opportunity for the big tournaments at least twice. But unless it goes really bad, like this one did, I guess you only get one shot.
Yeah. Well, they need to find one soon because speaking of those big tournaments, the Paris Olympics are coming up in 1 year. They start in July of 2024, and they don't even have a coach. So right now, apparently the assistant coach, Twyla Kilgore, is kind of being tapped as the interim head coach. We'll see as long as – I think the only thing pending is that USA Soccer kind of buys off on it. So we'll see if that happens. But that's the gist of it so far is that they
better get a coach fast enough if they got a tournament or make a decision if it's going to be the coach that's already there. As you said, like if it's less than a year away to get ready for that and – it did not go well. There's got to be some changes, and we already talked about Julie Ertz and Rapinoe retired, so there's more fluctuation coming in the roster between now and next year in the Olympics. So
True.
They better get a plan situated now because otherwise it's going to be rough next year as well, or next year in the tournament. And then the talk will be: is USA women's soccer
done?
Yeah, did they
no longer the dominant one?
Yeah, over.
Well, I mean, they are the teams that they were playing. They obviously beat them. It's not like we lost because the coach is bad. No offense. You know what I mean? I don't, there's no way. I get that changes have to be made and things need to be done, but there's no way that you could put this on the coach. Not obviously, at least entirely. So
yeah, I
think they need to, kind of get their ducks in a row and kind of figure it out themselves as well. Take some self accountability. How do they fare in Paris, man?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do very well, to be honest. I think that having the short period of time on a turnaround from one with the coaching situation and again with the flexion of the roster and everybody just getting better as far as women's soccer is concerned, that I don't know if they're going to even place and get a medal, depending on how the groups all kind of come out of there.
I couldn't agree more. It doesn't look good, even though, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm curious to see who will be the favorites, the betting favorites at least. Do we come back in, or is it Spain or England who play in the cup? Does the winner of the World Cup maybe comes in as a favorite? It's only a year away, obviously. So there's a lot on the line, especially since there's a lot of pride in American soccer at least for the women's part, because we're trying to become a more global, we're trying to become a global power, I guess, in the soccer realm.
Yeah.
And the women are the most dominant we've got. So if we're falling back there too, man, we're just falling behind in general.
Yeah, then the soccer thing that we had going for a while is over. So
we're getting a lot of players back to us, though. I mean, the Messis are coming over. He's bringing his friends. So maybe it just begins to kind of elevate by MLS gets bigger, because kids got to watch it on TV to want to play it all their lives, et cetera, kind of thing. So as it gets bigger and stuff, basically the things that are on are football, basketball, baseball, and a little bit of hockey.
Part of it too is when we do get these World Cups or international tournaments of like soccer, they're at weird hours. Like the final for the women's this weekend is at 3 a.m. our time on Sunday. So Spain
6
and
a.m.
England,
Eastern.
So Spain and England are going to battle, but by the time we wake up, it's already going to be long over, and I'm already going to have a thing on my phone that tells me whoever won by this, and I got everything I need to know. I don't need to see any highlights probably at that point, unless it's something crazy like the U.S. loss.
What are you telling me? You're not going to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning and watch it?
Oh, no, that's not my plan. I wasn't.
Me either. But Spain is favored, but barely. They're at minus 118. And England is coming in as the underdog, but they're not really underdog. They're at even money at plus 100. So, you got anybody you think wins? I'm just going to pick.
I'm just going to go Spain. Yeah, I'm just going to.
Because they're favored, I guess. Yeah. Since we're not watching, I guess it won't matter too much. But
well, we'll update on Monday when we do our podcast. We'll tell you guys who won and how awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though we didn't watch
it. I'll watch some highlights. That way, I can kind of fill you guys in on what happened previously. So
that'll be the best way to do it.
Exactly. Sticking with the previousness. That wraps up our current topics as we move into this week in sports history.
Let's get that segment started.
Let's go. This week in sports history. So this week in sports history, I couldn't actually decide. I needed to pick a handful of things. It was actually kind of crazy how many things happened this week in previous years. So I'll briefly run them down, some of the ones that I thought were pretty interesting. On August 13th of 2016, Michael Phelps officially ended his career at the Rio Olympics with a record 23 gold medals. Not medals, gold medals.
Yeah.
Next day, August 14th, actually of the same year, 2016, Usain Bolt became the first human to capture 3 straight 100-meter titles at the Olympics. He won them in the 2008 Beijing, 2012 London, and then the cap was 2016 in Rio. The very next day, August 15th, although back in 2007, not 2016, former NBA referee Tim Donaghy pleads guilty to felony charges for taking cash payoffs from gamblers and betting on games that he officiated. So I thought I just had to include all of them because I couldn't decide on which one was a better one. So what's your take? Pick one and give me your take on one.
Well, I'm going to take the Donaghy one if I have to pick one then, because that thing is crazy. I watched the Untold documentary about it. I listened to, there's like a 6 or 7 episode podcast that's about it and interviews all different kinds of people that were involved. The Untold one, the documentary on Netflix, though, interviews him himself and some of the people that were involved with him that did it. And it's very, like, he fixed games, but it wasn't like he fixed them to win or lose. It was more of like the over-unders and like different, like, weird kind of points, if I remember correctly. But it's still not obviously allowed or
right, yeah.
But
shouldn't be that way.
It's just like kind of crazy that he got away with it as long as he did. And then
how long was it, do you think? Like, how long did it?
There's a couple years that it went on. But it always comes back to, like, you know how we talk about when Chris Paul has, I think it's Scott Foster's an NBA, he's like referee, he's like 1 in 17. Like, there are certain like things against certain players and coaches or teams that come out, and I don't think it's necessarily on purpose, but Donaghy's stuff was, and man, is it interesting about how it all went down and who would text who about what they needed and how much to bet, because they would find out like, oh, somebody's not playing, so the numbers are going to swing, so make the bet now before they do. Like insider info almost. It's really interesting and crazy how far it went and how far.
That's pretty intricate.
Went on.
Dang, that's pretty crazy. That's interesting
you haven't
stuff.
Watched the documentary yet. You should watch it.
No, I will now. Thanks a lot. Don't tell everybody. I'm falling behind.
It's some same.
Okay, all right. I'll check it out.
The Johnny Manziel one that we just watched, the Untold.
Okay, cool. And that was good too. So I'll watch it.
Some good stuff.
It's so bad for the sport when stuff like this happens, obviously, because people already kind of believe that leagues like the NBA and the NFL are kind of rigged. So when you have the people officiating the games literally taking money to change or alter the outcome, even if it's a little bit, it still messes with people's thoughts about how legitimate the game might be.
Yeah, and there's so much money involved in the sports world in general between TV contracts and tickets and marketing and PR and just all the money that comes into it. So the fact that there's even an opportunity for somebody to maybe screw all that up on the back end doing something that's definitely not allowed and shouldn't be even thought about is crazy. But again, that he got away with it as long as he did.
Yeah, agree. So the one that I take is Phelps. Like I've been talking about, I mentioned at the beginning, I like to swim. I've been swimming for a while. So I remember watching this guy because obviously he was, kind of popular when I was just about in high school and then a little bit out of high school. And dude's amazing. He's a fish. He's just so fast and he's so good at all different types of swim strokes. So he was just dominant. Obviously, the career medal says it. 23 career, just gold. Doesn't include any of the ones that he placed, obviously second or third.
Yeah.
Just a great guy. Solo, great guy. Team, just killed it in the water. I remember watching one of the years. I think it was Beijing when Kobe was playing. I remember seeing Kobe in the stands, just like rooting him on. So
Yeah,
it was
that
kind of
was
cool to see like two goats.
I think that was the 08 Redeem team that Lakers Kobe was a part of, and LeBron. They all went to like different other sporting events of USA people to like, support them, and they would come support the NBA or the basketball team during their plays as well.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So I'm sorry, everybody, I couldn't narrow it down to one, but I think all three of these were pretty good. So it kind of gives a little bit different sports as well. So
yeah,
that'd be kind of fun.
Happened in one event in the Olympics.
True,
so it's kind
true.
of
So it's only two things. See, thank you, Corey. Thank you. Don't make me look so bad. That's perfect. All right, I'll take it. So yeah, but that pretty much wraps up this one.
Yeah, for our topic.
A lot of stuff on this one.
Yeah, we went long today, more so than I expected. But when there's a lot to talk about, then we're just going to keep it rolling.
Exactly. I'm excited. I'm so excited for football and basketball season. So I was obviously just kind of rambling about that. So, but yeah, any plans?
Speaking of football, though, I think we talked about we're going to do our AFC and NFC prediction episode.
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. So that's what we'll be doing this weekend besides trying to survive the tropical storm. Next week's episodes will be completely football related as we get closer and closer and through the preseason. We're going to be doing on Tuesday, we're going to be doing our NFC recap. We're going to look into the teams and what they've got. We're going to make some predictions on at least divisions and stuff like that. And then the same is going to hold true for Friday's episode where we'll be covering the AFC. We know that there's a lot to talk about, a lot of good teams, and so we want to kind of separate it so we don't drag on too long, but also we're able to cover as much as we can.
Yep, exactly. We want to make sure we have enough time to cover it all. And like you said, not jam it in and make it feel like it's rushed. We want to take our time and really go through it all. And then part of that, when we end the last, the second episode of the conferences, we will probably wrap up with your betting thing that we talked about as well, about which conference, who we think is going to win each divisions, which hopefully by then I'll have my parlay bet in as well. So we can kind of go back and forth and see who has the better opportunity.
Okay. Well, to note, your parlay is going to be taken, the last week of August. My parlay was put in. I chose these the second week of March of this year. The Super Bowl just ended.
Yeah, your odds might be a little better for some teams compared to mine. But
no, I'm just talking about my predictions might be crazy because I was just going with craziness. Aaron Rodgers wasn't on the Jets yet. All sorts of stuff hadn't happened yet. So I was just kind of flying with the wind. But I'm still pretty confident in some of my picks. I feel like I might be able to keep up with you. But yeah, excited to start the NFL stuff next week. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any plans besides that stuff? No? Chilling?
No, I'm working tomorrow, just store, and then chilling Sunday. But again, like everybody else here in SoCal, we're just going to do our best and hunker down, and hopefully it's just some crazy amount of rain for a couple hours. I heard something about 3 inches in 6 hours or so. Like it's going to be coming down.
That's something we haven't experienced.
Yeah, it's going to be something crazy. So no, I'm just going to be trying to survive Sunday. I guess that's about it.
Yeah, same here. So excited for next week, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't forget to tune in, everybody. Football is back.
Again, now that we're on YouTube, don't forget to search YouTube if you're listening to the Spotify version. YouTube, our view from the bench is our channel, and we have our episode from last week where we kind of introduced ourselves up there, and then we'll have this episode up as well.
Got any comments or anything to say? Throw them in the comments. We'll definitely reply. Let us know what you think. And but yeah, other than that, from our From the Bench, I'm Brendan.
And I'm Corey. And like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.